Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Vijay Matthew. Thanks for inviting me to Data Points Summit. It's sad that I can't make it in person there, but let's use the best of technology. So I represent AB InBev and Busch InBev. We are the world's largest brewer, home to around 500 beer brands. We are in existence for 600 years. Yes, 600 years, you heard it right. And we have around 260 breweries across the globe. And we are a global business. We are, we operate from 50 countries. We employ around 175K people globally. We sell beer in around 150 countries. 8 out of 10 biggest brands in the world belongs to us. And last but not the least, we are number one when it comes to craft beer production even, right? And something interesting that which is not on the slide is the fact that 1 out of 3 beers sold across the globe belongs to AB InBev. And today, my task is to talk to you about how AB InBev, the world's largest brewer, is using AI to transform its backend or finance operations, right? So let me talk about why analytics is important in finance operations, right? Think about ABI. ABI is, is as you saw in the earlier page, it's located in every zone where beer is sold, and we have 12 big BSCs. BSCs is nothing but the business service centers where they do all the transactional data processing and the backend processes. We employ around 6,000 colleagues in our centers. We have centers across the globe. You name it: St. Louis, Augustus, Columbus, Prague, Xiamen, Johannesburg. You name it, right? And it comes at an operating cost of 200 million. And to give some interesting stats, we collect around 50 billion plus every year from our customers. 50 billion is what we collect from our customers. 31 billion plus is the payment that we make out to our vendors. 14 billion plus is the taxes that we pay because it's a beverage business. We end up paying a lot of taxes, and 14 billion plus is the taxes that we pay every year. So every literature in the space of in this space, what we see here is that 1 out of every $100 is at risk when you're transacting money inside or outside in an organization. So think about ABI. We are making transactions worth 81 billion, and our risk is 80 million every year. 80 million is what we are at risk. That means we may lose 80 million in these transactions every year. And when we are paying 14 billion plus taxes every year, there's an opportunity to save a maximum up to 60 million in taxes, right? And this is what we are doing in ABI, right? We build a team to transform finance operations. And the idea was to transform the operations with all the data that we are generating. We are generating a lot of data. How are we going to leverage all the data to create maximum value for the business, right? And that's how we built this team called Finance, Analytical Solutions team called Growth Analytics Center. And let me start with few use cases just to give an idea of what I'm talking about, right? VAT analytics, right? As a business, we pay more than 2 billion as VAT. The challenge with VAT is that if you overpay the VAT, you will never get the money back. And if you underpay the VAT, you are at the risk of paying penalties to tax authorities in different parts of the world. And the penalties could be anywhere between 21% in Belgium to 50% in UK, right? Every country in every zone, there is a penalty for underpayment of taxes, right? And how will we ensure that every invoice that we are generating has the right tax calculations? And that's exactly what we built with a solution called Tax Optimizer or VAT Optimizer, right? Basically, what we do is we take all the data from our accounts payables and receivables, and we do a lot of AI techniques, including pattern matching, fuzzy logic matching, NLP, right? All these techniques to build a platform that could go through millions and millions of transactions that we're making on a yearly basis and identify all the failure modes or all the errors in the invoices which are resulting in tax errors. Just to give the complexity of this problem statement, we are generating around 40 million invoices every year. So the solution that we're building should be capable of going through all the 40 million invoices and capturing every possible error that we're making on the invoices, right? Let me give you two examples, right, to show how we are leveraging machine learning to detect VAT errors, right? So first thing is a tax code check, right? What you see here is that uh, there are three material description in the first table, right? How will we know the tax code that we should be using is that of that same material description, right? What we build is we are using text data mining to suggest what should be the ideal tax code. In this case, the first two tax codes, the B1 for the first row and J3 for the second row, came out to be wrong matches, whereas the third one, B1 for bottles, was the right match, right? So this is not something that human can do on a population of 40 million invoices, but an algorithm can easily capture this, right? Next one is VAT registration checks. Every country has a pattern when it comes to to VAT registration numbers. If somebody is inputting a wrong VAT registration number, the system should be able to identify that somebody is making a mistake. In this case, as you can see, the last row and the first two rows were wrong. The only actual match that we could find was the third row in this sheet, right? And that's made possible by pattern matching, right? So a great example to show how basic ML techniques could create great value to the business. And long story short, we are realizing around 30 million in savings from the solution. A simple solution like this is helping us to save 30 million in VAT penalty avoidance and overpayments of taxes, right? Let's move on. Let's talk about payment leakage detector, right? In every company, right, there will be a department called P2P, procure to pay. That's a team that actually has to make all the payments to the vendors, right? We work with tens and thousands of vendors across the globe, and I like I said in the first slide, 31 billion is the payments processed by the P2P teams globally, right? And what is the risk when you are making payments at this scale? We may make duplicate payments, which means that the same invoices are paid twice. We may pay contractors much earlier than required, right? Or we may have challenges with the details on the invoices, what's on the contract, what is a guarantee that what's on the contract and what's on the invoice matches, right? So let me give some examples, right? On payment leakage detector. So payment leakage detector is an end-to-end platform or a product that looks into everything, right? It looks into all the challenges with duplicate invoice detection, anomaly detection, contract adherence, right? It looks through hundreds and hundreds of variables, and it identifies everyday failure modes that ends up with duplicate payments, early payments, non-adherence to contract, right? It's made possible by using lots and lots of business rules to start with, and lots of NLP techniques, right? So let me go into detail and show some of the examples, right? Let's take this example of using NLP, right? As you can see, I changed the names, but there are two lines with respect to the same vendor, right? But the vendor is appearing with two different names. Yeah, one is ABC Services, and another one is ABC Refreshment Services, and the reference numbers are the same, right? It's something called non-exact matches. This is not something that a human can identify very easily, but a text similarity matching using NLP can easily identify that it's a duplicate payment or a duplicate invoice, because there are two reference against the same vendor with similar patterns, which means that we shouldn't pay them, right? On the bottom of the slide, you will see that there will be very minute challenges with references that differentiate a real invoice and a duplicate invoice. For example, on the first row, it talks about 3.21.18, right? And whereas the original reference was 3-21-18, right? A pattern matching is able to identify that there are two documents that received where everything is same. The vendor name is same, everything is same, document number, everything is same. The only difference is the reference number, right? Again, not really possible for a human to look through 40 million invoices and identify what is a duplicate and what is not a duplicate, right? And this solution is actually helping us to identify identify all the duplicate payments that we are making. Let's talk about invoice adherence to contract, right? What is a guarantee that the invoice matches the that information on the contract, right? Currently, we have a three-way match, which means that we are matching the invoice against a PO against a receipt, right? But if the invoice itself is wrong, nobody's going to capture anything that comes after that, like a PO or a receipt, right? Because there'll be a lot of clauses on a contract. There could be special clauses for discounts, for early delivery discounts, special discounts, pricing, right? What can we do, right? What we built here is a solution called invoice adherence to contract solution. Basically, what it does is it goes through all the negotiated contract with the vendors, right? It uses image processing using OpenCV. It uses text extraction using OCR, and it captures all the relevant information on the invoices. All the relevant information on the invoices in a very structured way. You have to understand that invoices comes in all shapes and forms. There could be millions and millions of formats of invoices. The solution that we're building should be able to capture every format of invoices and should be able to capture all the information from those contracts, right? Not invoices, contracts, right? And from this contracts information, we are matching that information with the invoice to check whether the pricing is the same, the discounts are the same, the early delivery discounts are the same, everything, right? And we are identifying a lot of opportunities to save money for the business. Long story short, a solution like this is capturing 20 million worth of leakages for a business like ABI. Let's move on to see another example of how we are saving money for the business, right? Let's talk about smart collections. We talked about the team that collects the money from the makes a payment to the vendors. Let's talk about the team that collects the money from the customers, right? Again, our annual revenue is more than 50 billion every year, and that's what we're collecting, right? Every year we're collecting more than 50 billion worth of cash from our customers, right? There could be a million reasons why the invoice details could be wrong, right? Because of which somebody is underpaying us, right? The charges, or we are making an undercharge. We were supposed to make a charge of 100 and we are making only a charge of 90. We are getting the invoice details wrong. We are getting the pricing details wrong, discount details wrong, right? So how will you ensure that there's an engine, right, that looks at two things? One, a solution to prevent all the invoice errors before it reaches the customers, right? And second thing is short paid, which means that every time a customer is making a short payment or a payment less than what is expected, how will you identify that somebody has made a short payment, right? That's exactly the solution is doing. When it comes to early warning system, what it does is it goes through millions and millions of contracts, invoices across the years and identify every possible patterns with what is the SKU mix. For a SKU mix of X type, what should be the ideal pricing? What should the ideal discount, right? And it captures all the errors which you are making with respect to pricing, your discounts, you name it, everything, right? That's what it's about early warning system. Second thing is short paid system, right? Short paid system is all about the money is we have got the payment from the customers, but it's few dollars or many dollars short than the actual value, right? Again, here we are using a very advanced OCR NLP solution which scans through millions and millions of invoices, right, to see if based on the quantity, based on the SKU, based on the pricing, everything, the money that we are getting back from the customers, is it exactly matching what we were expected to get from the customers, right? Believe it or not, the simple solution like this, right, it's again bringing around 15 to 20 million in value for the business. We identified short paid payments worth 15 million to 20 million in a year. So again, a great example of how AI could really transform back-end finance operations, right? Let's move on, right? Let's talk about one more solution in the interest of time. Let's talk about smart credit, right? Smart credit, very simple, right? Very simple. And we need to ensure that we are making the right, we are giving the right credit to our customers, right? If you give credit to non-trustworthy customers, what will happen? We will end up losing the money, right? The people won't pay the money on time. A lot of money goes into to bad debt. Our bad debt numbers itself is pretty huge because we end up paying credit to the wrong customers. On the other end, what happens if you don't pay our credit to trust to the right customers, right? You don't improve your sales, right? So it's a balance between not paying to the non-trustworthy customers and paying more to trustworthy customers to increase the credit limit, right? And believe it or not, it was a completely manual process, right? And we had infrequent and reactive risk assessment. Yeah, it's very time consuming. It depends on the knowledge of the credit controller to make the decisions, right? And he is not supported with any knowledge, any intelligence to make decisions, right? What we built, or what we wanted to build, was an automated process considering millions and millions of invoices that we had over the years and experience we had over the years, customer experience that we had over the years, customer demographics, customer related information, everything. And we wanted to build something that will actually help us define the ideal credit limit for the customers. We wanted to make it real time proactive, right? Think about a time like now, where the patterns are changing, the demographics are changing, the socio-economic factors are changing. What was relevant yesterday is no more relevant today. So it has to be real time and proactive. It has to be a continuous learning model, right? It needs to be fast and less prone to errors and optimal change in credit limit, right? And exactly that's what we did. What did we do? We used hundreds and hundreds of data points from invoice data, like total invoices, delayed invoices, invoice amount, all the customer data, right? Credit utilization, delays, payment terms, other characteristics. We bought a lot of data from the market, from Paydex, from Dun and Bradstreet, on what is the financial situation of these customers, and AR aging data again, right? All these data points, right, were used to understand first what should be the ideal credit rating that we should give to a customer. Just to give a background, right? In ABI, every customer gets a credit rating, right? It starts from A to H. First point is what should be the ideal credit rating for that customer. Second point is what should be the ideal credit rating for this customer, right? And this is exactly what we're doing. So we built two models, one to define the credit category and the second one to define the credit limit for the customers. And the outcome is that we are having a very optimal credit limit assignment to our customers. We are seeing huge improvement in our bad debts and significant increase in our revenue because we are giving more credit to trustworthy customers, whereby they are buying more from us, selling more, and in return we are benefiting out of this solution, right? So again, a simple solution creating great value for the business, right? Let's go to bankruptcy prediction. Yeah, think about last 2 years, right? We always had bankruptcy challenges, especially in the business that we are in, where we deal with a lot of point of sales, small pubs, shops. They always carried a risk of bankruptcy, but with COVID in the middle, the risk kind of tripled, or it's like 5 times the risk compared to previous years, right? You don't know which customer is going to go bankrupt, right? In such a situation where it's very volatile, with a lot of changes happening around you, how will you know which customer is going to go bankrupt? Because we don't want to give credit to a customer that's going to go into bankruptcy, right? And again, think about a small country like Belgium. Belgium itself had 600 bankruptcy cases in 2019, right? In 2020 and 21, that kind of doubled or tripled, right? So what we are doing, we are creating a bankruptcy prediction model, again looking into a lot of features on credit of the customers, credit limit, credit utilization, all of that, collection parameters including payment methods, payment terms, operational variables, like we even look at are they paying the rent on time, are they paying the cleaning contractors on time, what is the volume growth, receivables, all of that, all the demographic information, all the visitor and social media information from Facebook ratings, Facebook likes, TripAdvisor, Google rating, what people are talking about, that point of sales on Twitter, for example, right? On top of this, we are even looking at a lot of COVID related information. What is the how affected is that area? What is the forecast of COVID situation in that area? Is that area is going to lockdown? What is the current lockdown situation? What is the general mood of the crowd there? Are they willing to go out? All of those information, right? So we're looking at hundreds and hundreds of variables to build this solution, right? So first step is what? What is we are building all the data, bringing all the data from SAP, POC, selfie, file servers, all the features that we talked about, and we are doing a lot of feature engineering to get the right variables that can be used for our machine learning models. And then we are using a lot of machine learning models like decision trees, random forest, XGBoost, SVM, right? And we are deciding on what is the champion model that really tells whether a POC will go bankrupt or not, right? So this is again a great example to show how a solution in finance could create great value for the business, right? So this was just to give you all an idea of what's possible, what's the art of possibilities, right, with data, right? Because if you think about analytics, you always think analytics, or you always think of analytics attached to top line, right? When it comes to sales analytics, marketing analytics, we have a very high maturity, right? They have very high maturity in that space. Myself worked in sales analytics for like 10 years, right? But bottom line is equally, an area where we can invest a lot, right? Because to make a business profitable, either you need to improve your sales or reduce your wastages or your overheads, right? And that's what we are doing. We are ensuring that we are reducing our overheads. We are having an optimal process across the bottom line of the business, especially with respect to all the finance solutions across the globe. No leakages, no penalties, no undercharges, no overpayments, right? This is exactly what you're doing. And in this process, what are we doing, right? Typically, all these business service centers are seen as cost centers. People will always talk about business service centers as cost centers, right? And people think that that's an overhead, right? But we were very successful in changing that perception in ABI. We have successfully moved the perception of business service centers from being that of cost centers to value creation centers. Second, we actually transform the roles of the operators in these centers, right? If you think about the roles of these operators, they have a very operational role, but today their role is not just doing their operations, but their role is to create value for the business. They have the right platforms, right tools at their disposal that will help them to really create great value for the business, right? So in this process, two things: transforming the roles of the operators in the business, 6,000 of them, and changing the perception of BSCs from that of value creation, that of cost centers to value creation centers, right? So hope you all found this presentation interesting. Do get in touch with me if you need any support with any of the solutions or any questions that you have. But definitely my advice would be invest on bottom line analytics. It's equally important like your top line analytics. Thank you all for the opportunity. Thank you.